Can you guys hear me through this one? Yay. So we're going to turn this bad boy off. Something amazing happened when we were on break. We updated technology. We now have a clicker and a wireless mic. I'm so lucky. So we're going to talk about where can I not go, John? Are you messing with me back there? Are we good? I turned it off. Hey, we'll keep going and we'll let John do his magic back there. Penalties, pitfalls, and punishments. I'm going to talk about some things that just to keep your eyes open so you don't get yourself into trouble. If you haven't gotten yourself into trouble yet, I will tell you lucky is not a strategy that you want to keep living on every single day. So this is about knowing where those landmines are and keeping your feet off of them and some ideas that you can take back with you when you go. I look at that clicker. So exciting. So you spend a lot of money on your business every single day. Good dollars strengthen your business. You'll spend that money all day long, right, to do the right things in your business and to make it stronger. You'll spend it on your people. You'll spend it on your marketing. You'll spend it on your business. The things that are unplanned and unbudgeted are the ones that are going to get you in trouble. You didn't plan for it in a month. It could devastate you in a month on an income basis. So we're going to look at some of those things so you can go into it eyes wide open. We're going to focus on the old famous OSHA. We're going to look at a little bit at some labor issues, taxes, e-waste, licensing, and PCI compliance. We're going to start with OSHA. What is OSHA? OSHA was created in 1970, and the main purpose was to keep people safe in the workforce. If you have a business, OSHA applies to you. It's plain and simple. Nobody is exempt. The thing that's important here is you're going to fall under one of two entities. In California, we're under Cal OSHA, which is a state program. If you don't have a state program, you have a federal program. But either way, you've got it, okay? So the good thing about OSHA that's pretty amazing if you look at these stats, this is the great news. Since 1970, workplace deaths have been reduced by 60%. Okay, so a lot of times when you think about OSHA, you go, oh, OSHA, they're coming to see me. But look at the good work that they've done. It's amazing. 60% lives have been saved. People have been kept from injury, and 40% of injuries have declined. So, you know, everybody thinks of OSHA as the bad guys. They're really good guys. They're helping people. They're helping employees stay safe on the workplace. This one will blow your mind. $68 million in 2013 in fines that were collected by OSHA. That's where you think of OSHA. They're taking all this money from all these people, right? Look at fall protection. $20 million in penalties that people paid in 2013 because they had a boo-boo, it did something wrong as it related to a fall. It's pretty staggering numbers, right? Staggering numbers. So we'll take a peek at some of these. A very creepy guy with a big eyeball. What prompts OSHA to come in? A couple of things that you want to look at. There's only a couple of these slides that I have my notes because I want to make sure you guys get the right information. Imminent danger is their highest priority. They're going to come in when they think that there's a problem, and they'll usually conduct it within 24 hours of an allegation. Somebody could accuse you of being unsafe. It could be a customer, it could be an employee, it could be anything. They'll come in pretty quickly. If you've had a fatality or a catastrophe in your business, they will come in to inspect. Now, it's pretty unlikely in our cases that we're going to have those, but just know that it's out there. And if there is an injury that somebody is hospitalized for a couple of days, OSHA will come out and see you, and they will visit you. They want to find out what happened, what went wrong, how to prevent it, how to make it better, how to keep the next guy from having that problem. If somebody complains, okay, if somebody complains and it's not an imminent danger, they're not going to be out in 24 hours, but they could still show up on your doorstep and knock on your door and say, I'm OSHA, I'm here for a visit. They could have programmed inspections. There's certain industries where they do programmed regular visits. So it could be a programmed visit, or they could just be following up from a previous visit they had with you because you had a boo-boo. Okay, so those are the things that will get them to come out. Violations, just so you know what this is going to hit your pocketbook, what this will look like. A Up to $7,000 for serious and non-serious. A lot of times what will happen is they'll come in, they'll give you an initial fine, and then they'll do their research, make sure you've got your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and then likely reduce your fine. Sometimes it will go completely away if you've done everything the right way. If you're deliberately putting people in danger every single day of their life, you're in big trouble. Up to $70,000 if you get caught doing something as dangerous as that. So nobody's going to intentionally put their people in harm's way. If you falsify your records, it could be $10,000, or you could go to jail, or both could happen. And what that means is if you're doing training with your people and teaching them how to be safe, and let's just say 5 of your employees missed that training and you just signed their name on that document that they were attended, and you falsified those records and they come in for a visit and know that it was falsified, that could be up to $10,000. So just don't falsify your documents. If you don't have your posters up, okay, everybody, right now, if you know 100% sure your OSHA poster's up, raise your hand. If you don't, you have something to do when you get back to your little place of business and make sure your OSHA poster's up. In California, more often than not, it's on the California Labor Code poster. The OSHA information is there. Okay, so if you're in California and you didn't raise your hand and you have your labor poster up, you're probably safe. Okay. If you're a repeated violator, it could be up to $70,000. You're doing the same bad things over and over again. If you don't fix the problem and they've come in and told you to fix the problem, it could be up to $7,000 a day. And if you punch a guy, you're in big trouble. Okay. Now, what happens is nobody's going to punch the guy, right? But they're going to ban them. They're not going to say you can't get in, and could just don't be the aggressor. Don't punch him in the face. And if you could have potential jail time if you're convicted of deliberate or repeated violations. So they come in and you're not keeping your nose clean and you keep doing bad things. Okay? Whoa! Look at that. If this is somebody's gym in here, do not raise your hand. I found this on the internet. The scary thing about this picture is that ladder isn't even on a beam. It's on a wire. Okay? It's pretty scary, right? Don't raise your hand if that's your gym. I found this. Some mom took a picture in some gym somewhere in the United States. They found this happening in their gym and posted it on some website. Oh, by the way, the website's good and bad because now millions of people can find this picture, right? So don't do that. That's not a good thing. Let's talk about a couple of things, what happens, a couple of accidents. This person, there was 2 people that were hospitalized, or 1 non-hospitalized, 1 hospitalized. Basically, they had pool chemical solution in the pool storage room, grabbed the wrong container, added mercuric acid to the sodium, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a pool expert, but those of you that are in the pool business will know that's bad. It's a bad thing to do. And these guys were fined. Initially, see the amounts up here? And then sometimes you'll see it reduced in the red circled area. They didn't get it reduced. They were bad. They were not doing what they should have been doing, and they got in trouble. Okay? Here's another one. This one was actually a fatality, pool chemicals. The sad thing here is the employee, number 1, inhaled the fumes, and his jeans were bleached white. He was transported to the hospital. He died from complications due to chlorine inhalation. The MSDS accompanying granules stated not to add water, blah, blah, blah. He did not speak English well, and he had not been trained. Okay? So, kind of scary. That was a fatality. This one, this was a construction guy working on the pool. Again, this cost them, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and he just fell, fractured his elbow. He wasn't being safe, and he had to go to the hospital. OSHA came out, they inspected, and fined them. Okay? So the good news is, when you do it right, you can avoid fines. Accidents happen. Accidents are accidents, right? So in this case, this person, she broke her hip or something, hit her head, blah, blah. But the highlighted area, guardrails were adequate. Within OSHA specs, the steel ladder was built according to OSHA fixed ladder requirements. They were an experienced worker. Her records show she was adequately trained in safety and health issues. There was no tripping hazards in the area. It was made of expanded metal, good footing, was solid well into the frame. No violations were observed and no citations were given. So if you do it right, and they come out and visit, and you dotted your I's and you crossed your T's, you're not going to get fined. In this case, they weren't fined. Does that make sense?
Hey, Pam.
Yes.
How are they finding out about this stuff? Like, do you use examples that you're getting?
How did I find them, or how did?
No, like, how is OSHA? Is it because
When they go to the hospital or whatever, the hospital reports.
So
It's all, yeah, or workers' comp, and everything gets reported. In the industry I worked in, I was in window coverings for a very long time. We had a lot of saws and heavy machinery. We had somebody that cut her thumb. And because when she goes to the hospital and they ask what happened, they all have to report it, okay? So because these were hospitalized or, somebody, other entity was involved, they have to report those things, okay? That's their obligation. So 10 ways to avoid OSHA fines. Be prepared. This is, again, I have very few of these where I have to refer to, but I want to make sure you have the important information. Normally, they won't show up without a cause or reason, so an accident that gets reported. So be prepared. Have everything. If you've done training on safety, keep your documents. Make sure you have them. Keep them in a file somewhere that has everybody sign what they were trained on. Am I still on? Did it go on? I'm good? Okay. Hazard communication. Remember, these are the two that we looked at with the pool problem, right? So you want to have good hazard communication, properly document your material data, safety data sheets. If you have employees, you probably need one of these. If you know for sure 100% you have one of these in your building, raise your hand, okay? Lot fewer, right? So if you're in the pool business, I would make sure you have one of these, okay? Material data safety sheets, basically. Here's a great website for you, msdsbooks.com. They will tell you everything you need to know to make one of these little books, how to keep the information, where to store it, what kind of information needs to be there. One of the big questions that gets asked is, well, gosh, I use Windex. My people clean their desk. We clean the front window. We make posters all the time. We use glue and paint. And the questions are, do I have to have material data safety sheets on those items, okay? Now, there was an attorney that asked a question. The employees of my client may create visual aids, presentation displays, where they would use commercial art chemical products such as thinners, adhesives, paints, blah, blah, blah. Could you please clarify whether or not the use, if they have to have the data sheets for these things. And basically what they said, in this scenario, the employees of your client performing operations related to normal work, during the execution of these duties, they may be utilizing art materials, but as long as they're not using them as the main part of their job, you don't necessarily have to have the material data safety sheets on these items, or even like Windex or anything like that, because they consider that occasional work, and you're using those items as a normal consumer, okay? But not for the pool items, right?
What about your contractors, like you have clean service or something like that? Do they have to do that for their own if they're contracted and licensed, or are you responsible?
That's a great question, and Dave, I don't know the answer to it, but I think it is a great question, and send me an email because I want to go look at it, and there's no way I'm going to remember tomorrow morning when I wake up that you asked me that question, but send me an email. I would love to share that with you. His question basically was, if you have contractors coming in to clean, like the janitor, and they bring their own stuff, who's responsible for those material safety data sheets? And I believe it's probably the contractor, but let's be 100% sure on that one, okay? It's a great question. So training, make sure you train your employees on safety and protective equipment. It's just really super important. And when you do document it, in the end, it's going to cost you a little money in the beginning, but in the end, if you've done it the right way and you have everything documented, it's going to keep you from having injuries, and it's going to keep you off of OSHA's naughty list, okay? The other thing is paperwork. OSHA views If you do your paperwork, that means you're a fine, upstanding OSHA citizen, and they're very happy with you. So if they walk in for an inspection and they see that you have your paperwork, it tells them that you take this seriously, that you're not messing around. Safety is important to you, and they will love you for it. They want to review if you have a hazard communications program. That's that msdsbooks.com that I showed you. They'll help you there. And have it readily available. Don't say, can you give me 40 minutes? I got to find where we put that paperwork, right? If you have it, it's right here, right? Then they know you're serious and you're on top of it. Slips, trips, and falls. Remember, that was #1 citation category, $20 billion businesses were fined last year. So install fall protection equipment, train your employees, keep people off of ladders that are not trained to do the ladder, and make sure your ladder meets OSHA guidelines. Not the old rickety one that's in my garage, and the little brace that holds the thing together that my husband gets on every year is broken, right? Throw that bad boy away, okay? Ergonomics, this I think would happen in our industry today, that you have the potential of repetitive motion injuries over time. Make sure people are taking their breaks, rotate people around, whatever it takes to keep them from getting in that repetitive potential injury position. This is a really boring slide, so I'm going to go through it very quickly. Lockout, tagout, that's just, if you have machinery and you go to clean it, just make sure you have proper guidelines to close that machinery down. Engineering controls is just removing hazards out of people's way so they don't injure themselves, keep them protected. Administrative controls, words OSHA uses, basically you just have changes in procedures with the goal of reducing duration, frequency, and severity of exposure to hazards. A lot of repetitive motion and information there. And if your facility is in compliance with OSHA standards or isn't, there's tons of stuff out there on the web. I will tell you, this website, I got a ton of information from this website. It's great, and it's in the resource document that you got when you checked in, so it's in there. And then this one's kind of cool too. This is if they are going to come out and inspect, if you know they're coming, you had a boo-boo, somebody who had to go to the hospital, this will help you. It's just a document that talks about how to prepare for the visit and what to expect when they visit. Okay, that's OSHA. John.
Also, OSHA does have a program where you can volunteer for an inspection. There's consultants that will come out. It's no charge, no cost, and they cannot fine you when they come out for that inspection. But they will cite you and let you know where your problems are, and if you don't fix those citations, then they can fine you. So if you guys are serious about this, request that, come out. You also need training manuals, how to climb down. If you have ladders in your pits, to have like a 3-ladder system to go down your pit, you have to have a training manual that tells your employees how to climb down the ladder pit. Okay? All your chlorine bottles and everything need to be labeled.
Absolutely.
Right after on them. So if you guys have empty bottles laying around, get a Sharpie out there and label the bottles. So those are some really important things that you guys can do right away.
Yeah, and to John's point, you can have them come out and visit with you, and they'll cite you, they'll tell you what needs to be fixed, but they won't fine you. Okay, so they are a great resource. If you get really good, you can be an OSHA ambassador and be one of their people that they hold up as, gosh, these guys are a picture of safety in their building. So there's lots of things you can do with them. E-waste, this is really important. The world produced 50 million tons of electrical and electronic products last year. Okay? Only about 25% is collected for recycling. It's predicted to grow by 33% by 2017. So 50 million tons of e-waste, that's an average. I want you to really think about that. This is an average of about 43 pounds, or the weight of 8 bricks for each of the 7 billion people on this earth. It's a lot of e-waste. So there are states, those guys in orange, it doesn't look orange, it's burnt orange, in orange, that have e-waste laws. Currently, there's 24. Some of the fines can be up to $7,000. You might say, oh, we don't have, this monitor isn't working, I'm just going to go throw it in the dumpster. If you get caught in one of those states that is orange, California Surprise is on the list. Up to $7,000. So what can you do? Find a company such as Allgreen. These guys are nationwide. It's e-Steward certified, and basically, in a nutshell, that means they're not taking those items and shipping it off to China for little children to dismantle them and get all the toxic fumes and all these things. They're disposing of it the right, clean, certified way. One of the things that I did, this little Plano self-storage is right down the street from our office. It's very, very cool. What they do is you can take all your little e-waste. I was sitting in the office. We had a bad monitor, we had bad phone, we had bad stuff. So we needed to get rid of it. And we were just going to throw it in the dumpster because we didn't want to find $7,000. So I found Plano self-storage right down the street. You knock on their door, you bring your stuff in, you sign this little list of what you're dropping off, and they give you a little key, and you go to one of the storage bins, you just put it inside the bin, and then they call somebody like these Allgreen company, and they'll come pick it up. It didn't cost me anything except a couple minutes of my time. And we did the right thing, right? So this is an easy one to do. Find somebody in your community. There's lots of places that'll do it. You guys see those all the time where they say, you know, e-waste recycling today. Just save them up and take them down there. This was kind of cool. I won't spend a lot of time, but on this Allgreen site, I just put in one, if I recycle one cell phone, that's the green offset. So you can put anything in there and watch what happens. It's kind of cool. Got nothing to do one day, sitting around the office. You go look at that. PCI compliance is scary if you don't really understand it. All the tech guys really understand it. I don't, so it's very overwhelming to me, especially in the light of industry today, right, and what's going on. You think of all the guys that have gotten themselves into trouble for credit card breach and whatnot. So it applies to any customer. It applies to you if any customer ever paid you with a credit card, even just once. Now, we all know we take more than one credit card, right? The important thing is the customer depends on you to keep their information safe. It's about the penalties and the fines and what can happen to you, and it can cost you a lot of money, but it can also cost you more than just money. It can cost you trust from your customer, and I don't think that's where anybody wants to go, right? So it's the trust of the customer that's really important, and for me, I'm not the tech guy in the background making sure the firewalls are up and the computer's secure and all those things, so I'm like, it's such an overwhelming thing for me, but you get the right people on your side, and they're going to help you, and they're going to help keep you safe. So these are just some examples. In 2014, September, you guys remember the date? Home Depot announced its huge breach. When was it? September 14th or something like that? And then just a couple weeks ago, what did they announce? Anybody remember? Home Depot, as a result of this hack, anybody know what else what happened? It wasn't just a credit card breach. There was like millions of email addresses that were compromised as well that they found out almost a whole month later. So it's really important to keep your data secure. Target was about this time last year. Everybody remember this? Target. Look what happened to their stock. This is, I don't know if you can see the numbers, but this right here is about November when it happened. And then look what happened. And they haven't been able to get themselves out of it and recover. Kind of sucks, huh? Not a good thing. Home Depot, September 2014, $62 million it cost them so far. This was printed on September 23rd, just to recover, and fines and penalties. So that's the doom and gloom side, okay? Understand your sensitive data, where it is, who is responsible for its protection. Is there somebody in your facility or somebody that you've hired that has complete responsibility for making sure your customer's information is safe? If you don't have to, it's not part of your practices, don't store sensitive data. At Cal Elite, we do, because we're on an auto billing program. We store the credit card information and we charge them every month. So we have opted, but we make sure our data is secure. Protect your perimeter. This is the firewalls. Ensure you don't leave your back doors open. Fortify your interior with people. People's a big part of it too. You can't give everybody in your facility complete access to your credit card processing portal, right? Should be just a few people. Because if there is a problem, you can narrow it down pretty quickly. Know your service providers. We have Mike here from our credit card processor. He's in the vendor hall across the way. He makes sure that on our side for credit card processing, it is extraordinarily safe. So we rely on him to do that for us, which takes all the confusing, crazy stuff that I don't understand and puts it in somebody else's hands. So this is a couple things that we did. Ensure your credit card processor is compliant. Ensure the administrator of your account cannot access the full credit card number, like me when I was processing all your credit cards for this event. I can only see the last 4 digits. That's why some of you got lovely phone calls from me. Hello. So ensure that you can't see the whole number. I couldn't see your whole number on your credit cards. Don't display the credit card numbers on the receipts. We used to do this, and we took it off. We just display the last 4 digits. Make sure we use iClass that they're 100% PCI compliant. Ask them to see their documents. Any of you that are processing registrations online with credit card information, ask them to show they're compliant. This is an important thing that we do. If a customer's credit card has not been used for 6 months or more, we take it off of our secure data. Okay, so it's not just sitting out there and at risk. So that's one of the things that we also opted for. And if you have free Wi-Fi, have a separate secure connection for business transactions. Okay, completely separate. This is a great website. There's a blog, there's a newsletter, there's all kinds of things that you can get from this. www.pcicomplianceguide.org. It'll give you lots of hints and tips and really basic, this one, PCI 101, that's the class I had to go to, PCI 101, because it's very complicated. Okay? Uncle Sam, he wants some of your money too when you're not, lots of your money. But if you're not careful, he could take even more. So, some things that will trigger an audit if you don't file at all, or it's incomplete. If you have multiple years with low or no income, if you use round numbers, right? Who actually has a round number in their revenue? Large income and or expense changes, if there's big swing from one year to the next, high or low. Deductions as a larger percent than normal, so you're claiming more deductions this year than you did last year. That stands out as a big difference. Cash-based businesses, overpaying family members. Okay, some of us have family members working. You have to make sure that it's equitable and people are being paid along the same lines. If you're self-employed with a home office, it could trigger it. My husband's office is at home. He's on the road, but that's a risk we take. We take this deduction. He works for a company, but we still use this one. But that could be a potential trigger if you have a home office and how you claim it and what you're using it for. Entertaining or traveling, if you have a huge amount that doesn't make sense, and deductions that are unlikely business oriented. So those are some of the things that keep your eyes open. Your accountant is a better person than Pam to tell you these things, but just to go through them pretty quickly. Where is trouble brewing? In stores and vending machines. Super notes. In California, there are varying rates for taxes that you pay on the items you sell in a vending machine. So when you buy a soda in a store, right, you typically don't pay sales tax on it. But when you put it in a vending machine, California will make sure that you're paying the sales tax on that item. So you need to know the laws in your state because we're all a little bit different. The tax rate varies by item sold, and California assumes when you charge $1 for that soda or that bottle of water that you're collecting tax as part of that dollar. And it's up to you to subtract that out when you claim that revenue, okay, as part of your revenue claim to pay taxes on, okay? The Board of Equalization is in California has a sales tax factor table that's available and tell you how much you have to pay in sales tax on each of those items. But if you're audited and you're not doing this the right way, trouble. So be careful. Eyes wide open. Birthday party supplies. In California, and I wished I had time to research the states of everybody that's here, but I was still be sitting at my computer and I wouldn't be standing here. So I focused on California. We sell a birthday party package, let's say it's $250. If we supply paper goods as part of that party, we need to pay sales tax on those items that are supplied as part of the party, whether we itemize them on the bill or not. Whether we itemize them on the bill or not, we should be paying sales tax on those items, okay? My friend Diane Barron helped me with this one a little bit. We're not going to go crazy on it, but I want you to all be aware. Is tuition taxable in your state? This was a recent issue in Missouri. It's come up. I'm not going to tell you in every single state whether tuition is or is not taxed. It's up to you to figure that out and understand it. Diane's recommendation is to talk to a tax attorney, consult a tax attorney. They've just gone through some things and modified the way they're doing business. If the law changes in your state and they don't currently charge those taxes, they need to let you know that they will be doing it. It could be coming. We don't know yet. It's how they look at the tuition that is charged. Is it recreation or is it student classes or learning? Diane, you have any other insight?
Well, you do not have to be notified.
If it changes, you do. No?
No,
Okay.
no. Our law was in place prior to the seventies, until we didn't realize it, didn't understand it. There was a policy then that was put in place about 2007, I believe, that said they didn't need to include tuition. They just meant all your entertainment part of your business. And then they went ahead and audited people anyway, and they didn't have to notify us of that policy change. We did not have, we tried to push a bill through to change that, and that lost in the, I think it won in the Senate, lost in the House. So we do not have to be notified. And the information is hard to find, at least in Missouri, that's why we had to hire a tax attorney. We were not assessed or audited, we just needed to want to be in compliance. We have to pay sales tax on any dollar we collect, on anything.
So
Anything.
the important message here is get a tax attorney in your
If
state.
you're going around in your state and hearing about people, don't go, oh, la, 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 I don't want to listen, I want to pay. You really need to find out, because they can go back 3 years, or for 33 years, if you've been paying sales tax on some items, like your gift shop, then if you haven't, then they go back 5 years. We're 7.11%, you the staff, 7.11% of our growth in 3 years. And we've had, I don't know how many audits been audited, at least 4 and plus already.
So if you have any questions at all, I'm not an expert. Diane has become an expert in her state, but she,
I pay a lot of money
yes.
to get experts.
So, but she can't necessarily help you in your state or your situation. So the best thing is if you hear any buzz, talk to a tax attorney. It's worth the money spent.
We actually found somebody that's the chairman of the Department of Revenue, so that helps all.
There's some states that tax on services as well, and this website, Federation of Tax Administrators, can give you some insight into what is taxed on services. I'm going to go through these pretty quick because we're, I think, pretty close out of time. Georgette, do you know what time I need to be done? Five minutes ago, watch. What's 5 minutes ago? Okay, I'm going to go fast. Licensing and copyright. Copyright, you know, it's to protect intellectual property. Fines can range from $200 to $150,000 plus court fees, and then they're going to tell you stop doing what you're doing, and sometimes you can go to jail. This is exciting. Material, 2 minutes. Material published before 1923 in the United States is in the public domain. You can use it. Woohoo! Aren't you excited? You can use that for your swim school. Okay, you're just not going to find a lot of stuff out there from prior to 1923. Don't use borrowed material. I just fact some words and short phrases can be used. All the images that I pulled off, they're all protected, but I'll show you what we do. Oh, this is a great site. U.S. government generated works. They're in the public domain. You can use them, but this is what you get. Aren't you excited? You can use any of those. It's exciting stuff. So if you don't want to do that, this is what we do. We pay Shutterstock $249 a month. We get 25 images a day. It's a lot of images. We can pull it off every day. That's where Lynn gets a lot of her great images of the kids. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff out there. There's also Getty Images if you want to buy one image at a time, and iStock Photo. You can pay per download or you can subscribe. I strongly suggest that you pay the money and invest in one of these. You can't play music publicly without a license. That's a no-no. This guy got into $18,000 worth of trouble in New York. He downloaded a song to his iPod. He thought, oh, great, I've paid for the song. I'm going to put it in my restaurant. Everybody's going to be happy. We're playing music. Everybody's happy eating. I'm playing my music. And he got in big trouble because he wasn't licensed to play it publicly. He downloaded it to his iPod, right? So what we do at Cal Elite is once a year, we pay for these 3 organizations and buy the rights to, there's almost every artist is covered if you subscribe to all 3 of these, and you'll be safe. So those are the ones that we use. Those are the 3 big ones that are out there.
I just did this just as some advice. They're a private company. You can negotiate with them.
Oh, you can?
They have set fees, but you can negotiate.
Okay.
Which I did not know until later.
Also,
Good.
USAG covered part of it. They subscribe since you're a member of USAG.
USAG membership covers part of it too, for gymnastics. So a couple good points. Labor law. The important thing here is not only can your business be harmed, but you personally as a manager, owner, your people could be personally liable. Here's a couple examples. This guy was fined $3.3 million for intentionally underpaying employees, not the company, the man. Okay. Owners and officers of an Illinois security company were fined $200,000 in back wages. So there's lots of things out here. Gender bias, pay your people equitably, whether they're male or female. $4.65 million, Bank of America, $39 million for 4,800 women that were not paid fairly and that did not get the same kind of accounts that the men were getting. Bank of America has more money than all of us in this room, right? But $39 million is a lot. Misclassifying employees, this is one that people get into trouble all the time on. They classify them as a supervisor, but they're doing non-supervisory work, so they don't have to pay them, right? So classify them the right way, pay them the right way. This one scares me a little bit. This one should scare you a lot. 2 Chinese buffet restaurants. 2, not Bank of America. 2. $2.8 million, years of violation of minimum wage, overtime, and record-keeping provisions. Know the laws in your state. Make sure you're adhering to them. I'm going to just flip through these because there's one point I want to make. If you're in California, is anybody aware or know about the Brinker case in California? You know what that means? Okay, California, Brinker is a chain of restaurants, and their employees went off and sued them because they weren't getting adequate lunch breaks. Okay? Good news, California, the employer prevailed, which is very rare in California. The employees win a lot of the times, but the employer prevailed because they said your policy was clear. They were told to take their lunch breaks. Because they didn't do it, you can't be held responsible. So in California now, it's important that your message is communicated. They're told to do it. They know what you're following the law in regards to those breaks. And it's up to the employee to make sure they're doing the right thing. So this was a milestone case in California for employers. Lectures and meetings, make sure you're paying your people. There's just a couple other things here. There's a great site, sba.gov, employment and labor law. There's a whole section. They even have a safety section. So another great site. Right now, before those 2 lovely ladies come up here and talk, I want you to do me just one little thing. I want you to write 3 things from this talk that when you go back, you are going to do because of something you heard here that you're going to go back and check. And I know MSDS is probably on some of your list because not very many people raise their hand. So write down 3 things that you want to go back and do because you can't do everything and you're going to get a lot of information. Just pick 3 or 1. Just pick something that you're going to go do differently because of hearing this. And then I've got the resources are all in that resource guide. That's it. It's all for me.